Good now, everybody. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. This is your place for helpful news, commentary, and of course, answers to your crypto questions. My name is Evan. So glad to be here with you as always. We just had another fantastic show yesterday. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I'm talking to you if you're watching on YouTube. The stream is up. If you're watching on TikTok, it'll be up at the end of the week. We're here every Monday through Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Plus, we've got the Rise Up Morning Show newsletter, the YouTube channel, tutorials coming soon, live classes and coaching launching in the Discord, and the free general chat where you can hang out, ask a question, share a link, build community with other people just like you at all levels of experience, trying to wrap their heads around this stuff together. It is the place the show lives 24/7, and it's all available for you at theriseupmorningshow.com. So please do let me know how you are this morning. Let me know if you have any questions as we get started with the day while we wait for Alex to get here. I know he's got some cool stuff he wants to share with us regarding blinks, an update on Solana that is a lot like Warpcast frames. Check that out if you want to play along at home. I thought it might be fun as we're warming up just to talk about a cute little news bulletin that I heard over the weekend. Anybody who's in the meme coin space has seen that there's a token called Donald J. Trump, DJT. It got a lot of attention and traction, partially because it was rumored to be affiliated with the Trump family. And it became so hot that at one point, a Trump supporter on crypto Twitter, who's a known figure, made a $100 million bet offering anybody who could expose that it was not in fact Trump or Trump's family definitively could claim the money. And in the wake of activity that followed, there was a whole bunch of stuff going on. There was a lot of on-chain sleuthing, and it turns out that Martin Shkreli, disgraced pharma bro Martin Shkreli, and Barron Trump, the Don's son, were the ones who launched this token, and who knows what they've made from it if they renounce the money. I don't know. But it was on-chain sleuth Zach XBT that found him out, and he got the bounty. Good for him. I don't think the $100 million guy put up $100 million actually, but Zach XBT did get $150,000 from another hedge fund that also offered a bounty for it. How cool is that? Just by reading a blockchain explorer, this guy has established a reputation as somebody trustworthy in the space and is paying himself handsomely for it. So all of that to say, election-themed meme coins are on a tear. They remain relevant as ever. Learning to read the blockchain explorer is probably the most useful thing you can do if you want to hang out in the blockchain space. And there's all kinds of opportunity here beyond spending your money on a token that some influencer told you about. Okay? So, with that said, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Blue. Good morning, Tori. Thanks for hanging out. Tori, you were in my dream last night. I had a dream that you were there. It's like the Wizard of Oz. You were there, and you were there, and you were there. You were in my dream last night, and we were on this, like, I don't know. It wasn't a farm. It wasn't an Airbnb, but it was like that kind of feel. And people stayed there and paid them to do so. And we were on this group trip, and there were people from college there. There were people I've acted with from like theater there. Kimberly wasn't there, but some of her friends were. And it was like you stay and hang out and talk to people and then go on excursions during the day kind of trip. And there was this really weird moment where I was in the bathroom, and Tori, you called through a vent, and I called back and I was like, is that Tori? And you were like, yeah, it is. And I was just talking to you in the bathroom through this event. And then when I got out, everyone went to a blueberry farm. I think you went to the blueberry farm. It was like on a field trip. Some bus picked us up. And I stayed behind, but there was this guy who was from the farm who was selling blueberries to people. And I was like, oh, well, I'd like to buy some blueberries since I'm not going to the farm. And he put this sack on a table, and he put this sheet cake pan on a table that had these, what looked like pie bottoms, but apparently they were blueberry flavored. And he flipped one out of the pan, and it fell on the ground. And then he flipped another one out of the pan, and it hit my leg, and it was hot. And then he flipped another one out of the pan, like he's trying to put these in a little case for me to take home or whatever. And it lands in my case, And I realized because he's flipped it over, it's a knee pad. It's like a knee pad that's been infused with blueberry syrup, and that's the dessert. And I took a bite of it, and I was like, dude, you expect people to eat this? It was wild. And it had nothing to do with crypto, but that's what our show is about. So the official start time, the official morning show, the official hosts. Couldn't do it without you, Alex. How you doing, brother?
Oh, it's going well. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing okay. I'm doing great. I've got my coffee. I haven't had a sip yet because I've been letting my toothpaste just do its work.
Mm.
And now think I'm at the point where I can drink this without it tasting absolutely terrible. So we'll see. We will see. That was a very pregnant whoop.
It was very, and Solana impregnated it.
What a weird turn of phrase, but I understand exactly what you mean. Do you want to tell people what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm just stoked to talk about Blinks because holy shit.
Yeah, Blinks, short for blockchain links, brought to you by Solana. Alex, it reminded me of another feature we've talked about a lot lately. Reminded me of frames, and your
Yes.
comments were take a look at this UX, basically.
Yeah.
Right to your Twitter timeline. Tell people what it is, and then let's get into it.
So I will put a few. I have a couple links in the general chat in the Discord already for anyone who wants to read along. But I'll add a couple of other ones. Essentially, in a world where everyone and their grandmother shills their favorite blockchain to you by telling you that it has the best UX, and really all they mean is that they like the color scheme of the native wallet more than the other ones. I'm not even being facetious. That's literally the only difference between 99.9% of all of the layer ones and layer twos and anything with a quote unquote UX. Solana has dropped a feature where you can send crypto to people, sans wallet and everything, anywhere you can share a regular link. And the immediate example was doing it directly on Twitter.
And let me just add one piece of context to say you can do any on-chain action, it looks like. I saw examples of voting on-chain,
Minting, whatever.
minting, or even like triggering an action in a blockchain game. Pick
Yeah.
this character kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
It's the utility, guys. It's the utility. It's
Yeah.
here.
The best tweet about it that I saw was from one of the base people, and it was like, wait, wait, did Solana just do frames, but for the entire internet? And then one of the core Solana devs comment was just, yeah.
I love that though, because I feel like that's probably like you just know they're sitting there with their coffee, and somewhere Jesse Pollock's just like, shit, but also is probably clicking through it and kind of impressed.
No,
You know,
but
like that friendly sort of competition where you have a rival, like what a great rivalry that is based in Solana.
that's the thing, dude. I don't even look at that as a rivalry. I look at that as the ultimate way for me to cross chain now without having to work quite so hard to cross chain. Because if you're in your Coinbase smart wallet, you have native integration within the smart wallet to Solana dexes and to other Solana based stuff, because Coinbase indexes Sol. You can buy Sol on Coinbase and do Solana stuff with your Coinbase account, which means you can do it with your smart wallet. So they're heavily integrated. And this is the kind of shit that, like, in Web 2 would have been, AT&T versus Verizon with some sort of core feature that they are now going to like rob from each other and steal and try to like change and pivot and figure out how to like bully and harass people to use it on their platform instead of this. Whereas this side, it's like, okay, well, now we need to ship something cooler, because everyone is using all of it. And it's like, this is the difference. This is one of the core differences between Web 2 and Web 3.
Yeah, and it's really a disruption. That's exactly it. It's the kind of disruption that's going to transition everyday people who already use social apps, who already use websites. The
Yeah.
friction that's there right now for somebody to see an ad that says, come to our platform, buy some crypto, pull out their credit card once they get there, if they click the ad, they have to do all the swapping and the transferring. I mean, this could conceivably, I'm sure there's already a blink to do this, that's like, hey, buy your crypto and start earning passive income right now. And the frame has a buy button, probably buys with credit card, sets up a wallet for you, another button that says
Yes.
stake. Go ahead.
Mert's example yesterday from Helios Staking was, for those who don't know, Helios is a staking protocol and provider on Solana, native Solana staking, and Mert is the CEO, and he's also a core dev on Solana, and I fangirl him every day. And one day I
Alex is shipping him big time.
one day, but I only have 1 degree of separation from Mert, so I'm doing all right. But his example was the Helios rolled a blink on the first as the feature was announced, and in it you could immediately buy and immediately stake with Helios 1, 5, or 10 Sol from the buttons, and it was just a click, done. The Sol is purchased and staked, which is insane.
It's amazing. Honestly, truly. Wow.
Again, that's what UX looks like. That's UX. It gives a, speaking of things that give me anxiety, it gives me anxiety when people write their long, over toxic maximalist posts about their favorite blockchain and just tell me that the UX is really good. It's the same as every other blockchain at best. At worst, it legitimately sucks. I want to come back to what Sonoran said because I don't disagree. But
I'm pulling up the smart wallet right now because I saw that too. So take your time.
It's the control part. So I don't disagree, but I have thoughts.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is like we're finally actually starting to see. I think UX had a good leap a while ago with like the introduction of a blockchain explorer that was easily legible. That was good UX. Wallets that had, some more native features integrated, that kind of stuff, that's good UX. Tweaking the design to make it more intuitive, that's good UX. Everyone has that. No one is special. This is the next advancement. Like how do I use some piece of Web3 infrastructure without having to go through all of the normal rigmarole that classic Web3 protocols require me to use. What's up, dude? Yeah, good to see you. And that's not to put down classic, Web3 use because that's just the way that it's worked. But now very specific and deliberate steps are being taken to fix that.
Well, but now here's the other thing is not only do we have new opportunities because they're taking these steps, but we're going to have new challenges and problems.
For sure.
I guarantee you this afternoon, there's going to be a viral tweet because somebody somewhere has found the blink that says buy Bitcoin, spend $1, spend $100, spend $1,000 and it's not Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's just a contract that sends money to their wallet. And somebody is going to click it because they're just not going to know any better. It's going to be scams 2.0 the same way, it's Web 3.0. As frictionless as it will be to do all these other things, it will be frictionless for scammers to separate you from your money. It'll be one click gone kind of thing. So it will require, especially at the start, people have extra diligence about clicking, playing. I mean, that's how I got fished a couple months ago, was playing with frames on Warpcast.
So I don't disagree. Again, I don't disagree. I think every single, regardless of Web3, Web2, every single technological advancement and streamlining tool ever has streamlined someone else's ability to con someone.
I'm not trying to be alarmist. I'm just saying, therefore, as with all things, one should wear your helmet the first time you ride this bicycle and remember that it is the first time you're riding this bicycle. Be excited about how quickly it's going to take you new places, but don't forget that it's it's a machine you gotta be safe with.
That's why, I mean, that's why context is important. That's why,
Absolutely.
taking a minute to learn about it before clicking on stuff is important.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. I want to come back really quick to what Sonoran said about the control side.
Mm-hmm.
Here's
Mm-hmm.
why it doesn't concern me with base as much as I think it would if they didn't address it. Um, for context, if we go back years to the way that Polkadot launched, they launched with a consensus mechanism that I cannot remember the specific name of, but it was something along the lines of like delegated proof of authority.
Hmm.
And it was basically like, okay, everyone can, be a validator or do it whatever. But you have to apply to a very centralized organization and team, foundation, whatever, lab to be allowed to be a validator on Polkadot. So very few people had it because you had to go through an application process. It was hyper centralized. It was extremely
Right.
centralized. It
Right.
was a centralized company using a blockchain to do normal company stuff. Not inherently bad because they were super upfront about it. Like you went to the docs, you went to the website, you went to whatever it was like. It was basically, near word for word saying, this is centralized. Here's the plan for decentralization, and this is what it looks like over the next 5 to 10 years. And I would argue the inefficiency argument pretty hard because I've just always that was really refreshing for me to see because the first time I saw something hyper decentralized, except for Bitcoin is special and doesn't really count.
Sure. Sure. Right.
And I can justify that later. I just try not to derail myself.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Most of
Um,
us are on your boat.
is really just because I've always looked at decentralization as a spectrum. It's not something that anyone is really absolutely yes, like fully decentralized. There are issues with that are worth noting. Um, you know, Spiritually, the idea is great, um, but at its core, if you decentralize too quickly or you decentralize something and give control to people who don't understand what they're doing or maybe why they're doing it, governance only matters if it matters, and you can't force it to matter. It has to matter for a reason. So I've just always been interested, and the way that we built our own stuff, I've always been very interested in like keeping control and then measured and deliberately and publicly giving up bits and bits and bits of control as you go down the road to
Hmm.
proper decentralization. And I've only ever seen the Polkadot Foundation. I don't know what their core like group is called. I'm just calling it the foundation.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Because I
And
heard.
then the only other one that I've seen do that is Base, and it's right there on their website. That's something I can share as well, just because it's worth highlighting. But quite literally, just like, hey, this is centralized, and here's the plan for measured decentralization over X amount of time. And that by itself, not that centralization doesn't concern me, because obviously that's one of the reasons I'm here and doing this in general. But the reason that this particular flavor of centralization doesn't concern me as a user, or a fan of the idea of decentralization, just the reason it doesn't concern me quite so much is just because it's being addressed and we're talking about it, and I will at least give you the benefit of the doubt and give you a chance to live up to your word. And sure, if 10 years from now, Base is exactly the same level of centralization as it is, and Coinbase has started doing more shady shit, then of course my opinion would change, when presented with new information. But as it stands right now, it's something I'm very willing to take a chance on, just because it's bridging the gap more effectively than pretty much anything else.
I want to put a pin in that because, first of all, because Mashista is here, but remind me, there's someone I'm talking to on Warpcast whose name is escaping me, who has been a vocal critic of, I think that's valid, and I tend to fall in that camp too, but there's still it is sufficiently decentralized. There's still a high degree of trust me, bro, that I wonder if there's a better way to solve. I do want to talk about it. I do want to get Mashiste in this conversation though, because I want to hear his opinion on Blinks and also on Smart Wallet. But first, Mashiste, as I say, welcome to the show, Mike. I need to know, when are we getting a token store for Solana in a Blink, dude?
Never.
What? Come on.
What's Blink? I'm sorry, I just joined. So
Okay, you missed the cold opener. Blinks is short for blockchain links. It is frames on Solana, but not just in Twitter, not just on Solana, on any website. You can put a blockchain link and there's a frame there where you can buy crypto, you can vote, you can do stuff on chain. If you just go to Twitter and search Blinks, you'll see it. And that's what it is. It's frames.
I did see this on social. I didn't know it was called Blinks. That's cool. I mean, frames with the EVM version that's on Warpcast is just open graph tags, which if anyone does SEO, they know that, they've been around for a long time. It's like an internet primitive. So I don't see why they wouldn't be able to show up anywhere outside of Warpcast either. I think they do. Maybe just not as prevalent. Is Blinks using like a Chrome extension or something in order for you to interact with it?
This is one of those things that's on my agenda to read more about today, and just kind of putting it in everyone's face. But I don't know enough to answer questions like that yet.
Okay, all right, yeah.
It literally just came out yesterday afternoon.
Right. Yeah, I thought for some reason that you would have to have some kind of Chrome extension or third-party app to interact with them, and in that case, it's like that's all right. But Warpcast is like a native. Your wallet is connected to the application, and you don't have to worry. You can click a button and do things on chain without anything else popping up, which is kind of like Smart Wallet-esque in a way where you don't need a third-party app to interact on chain, which is going to be a huge unlock for people.
Yeah, that's basically it. And speaking, so we'll ask you more about it another time once you've gotten into it, and we'll get into it a little more too. But that's kind of the breaking news. But I'd love to bring you into the conversation about Smart Wallet because, I just the other day I had the custodial account. I didn't realize I didn't even have a Coinbase wallet. I have interacted with protocols using some of their different features. I have signed up for a Smart Wallet. I haven't personally used it because I don't necessarily think it's a product for me. But I know you've built some stuff kind of with that ease of use in mind. And I'd just love your perspective and experience on what you think. Sonoran was saying they're overwhelmed by it a little bit, overwhelmed by the Coinbase part of it, the ownership, the trust me, bro. I think it's a great UX and a great solution for a lot of people, but just would love more perspective from you, somebody who's built for it.
Yeah. I mean, the wallet is compliant with the ERC 433 standard, 4337 standard, which is, it's, if you've heard of an ERC 20, that's a standard for tokens. If you've heard of an ERC 721, that's a standard for NFTs. And ERC 4337 is a standard for smart wallets. So it's not like a thing that was completely made up by Coinbase. This is something that's been part of Ethereum. And Coinbase's, I think, novel breakthrough is that you can have a pass key on your device be your private key, and you don't need to download any other apps or anything like that. So you can own the wallet without, if Coinbase goes away tomorrow, you're still the owner of the wallet. As long as you have your fingerprints or your face, you can unlock your wallet and use it for things. So I wouldn't, it doesn't really have anything to do with, it's not hinged on Coinbase staying in business for you to use that wallet. And it isn't for everyone. If you've been in crypto for a while, like you have, Evan, you're probably comfortable with MetaMask or something else, Rainbow, something that you've been using, and that's totally fine. But most people, I feel like, especially those who haven't tried crypto yet, get turned off immediately when you tell them all the 12 steps they need to do to start interacting. Yeah. A huge turn off.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the biggest thing, Angel, or for anybody listening, I would also recommend, There's a really great podcast. Once again, it's Unchained, has an episode talking about the smart wallet on the day it was released, about how, the passkey is part of it. But there's also a lot of stuff. I wonder, Mike, if you know, it's escaping me already. I listened to it once and it's out of my head. I heard them talking about some of the partnerships they had built that are made possible by the smart wallet. They're talking about Coinbase using some of its revenue to pay for gas for people who are using smart wallet, and they hope to make it a thing that's sustainable in perpetuity so that people will have even less friction when they're using smart wallets. Can you speak to that at all? And if not, I can Google it real quick.
Yeah, it's like it's like recycling the ETH, but so L2s, which is like what Base is, they are essentially powered by what's called a sequencer. And the reason why people say that Coinbase's L2 base is not decentralized is because Coinbase owns all the sequencers. And what does that mean? That means when you go to do a transaction on Base, Coinbase is essentially looking at your transaction and deciding whether or not they're going to include it in a block. And if it was decentralized, that would be up to many people. And it also means that the sequencer is going to be the one who gets, paid the gas fees. And since that's just Coinbase, you're really just paying Coinbase a few cents to execute your transaction. And so Coinbase has no problem with saying, hey, it's on us. We're the only ones doing this right now anyway, so it's on us. And if you have an app that's going to onboard a lot of people to use their product, then they have no qualms being like, well, we'll just sponsor the gas for you and help you bootstrap this thing in hopes that, eventually once Base becomes more decentralized or whatever, more sequencers come online and it's decentralized, your app's going to be so big and popular, like you're not going to have a problem with the gas eventually. I don't think it's going to be sustainable to sponsor gas in perpetuity forever unless it doesn't fully decentralize.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say about what Ace says below about pretty much all L2s are centralized because they rely on sequencers in this way? I am not hip to that. And I have a hard time thinking it must be true, but I get that an L2 is basically like a private highway built on top of somebody's layer one.
Yep, that's right. So what he said is true. Let me find it. All L2s have centralized sequencers.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess there hasn't been an example yet of like a fully decentralized L2 with, multiple different people, sort of being that decentralized network of sequencers.
Sure.
L2 beat. Okay, I haven't heard of L2 beat, but I'm not aware of one. I don't know everything.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask you one more question that kind of ties this whole thing together? And then I'm glad to give you the floor if there's something you want to plug or pitch. Go ahead, Alex.
Real quick. I'm trying to figure this out right now, but it looks like Mike is correct in his assumption that this is a or a browser extension. That's the impression I'm getting right now. So I'm just trying to, still digging, but just update. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you for the update. I also have open in a tab a Reddit article that looks like it came from, a pretty deep dive community source with a couple of links that I'm going to dig into too. We'll post all this in the Discord server. And real quick as an aside, because there is someone in the comments, we always try to keep an eye on people who are just starting. If you're just joining and you're like, wow, these guys are talking about crypto, but they're talking way past me, sit tight. We'll get to you in just a second. You are the most important part of our community, and we're glad you're here. Go to the riseupmorningshow.com while you wait for us to transition and jump in the Discord community. It's free to come in there and hang out. And that is probably the best way to learn anything. Get in a community with people who are talking about it. And I promise you, we will slow this thing down and unpack it a little more from the beginning with some steps you can take to start learning and feel pretty good about it today. Machiste. CCIP. Frames. Blanks. Is there anything else you'd add into the Soup Smart Wallet? We're having a real moment right now where people are bringing the promise of Web3 into the present moment. And I just want to know, is there one thing you're particularly excited about that's already happened, that's about to happen, that you would encourage people to look at? Or do you think I'm overhyping it?
I think Yeah, I talked a little about smart wallets, and I think that's a huge unlock, especially for onboarding people to use apps as consumers on chain. But we haven't talked about CCIP, or maybe I missed it.
No, we didn't. Somebody mentioned it in the comments, and we've talked about it in the past, but I would love to hear you talk about it now because people may not know what it is, but I think it's a big part of that kind of, stuff that's bringing everything together.
So I think his name's Ace.
That's right, Ace.
Okay. Yeah, and he said, are flash loans enabled across L1s or L2s with CCIP? I can answer that, and let me just quickly, just for the sake of like what you just mentioned, Evan, like I'll try to explain what CCIP is.
Thank you.
Like, yeah. So
you're getting a hard job today. We brought you on to do a lot of heavy lifting, man. So
you're killing it, dude. Thanks for lending credibility.
I would throw my camera on too, but like you'd be surprised how tech illiterate I am when it comes to non-blockchain stuff. Maybe we can figure that out together after this. But
makes you mysterious.
Oh, all right. Maybe it adds to it. All right. So CCIP, you all have mentioned in previous episodes that you think banks will eventually have their own private blockchains, and I agree with that. It's because the tech that these banks are currently built on, we know, are slow and expensive, and there's a better way of doing it now. And if we're thinking about what technology pivot banks would make that are going to take them decades into the future, it's probably a private blockchain. But we all know that blockchains don't know anything outside of the blockchain. So they don't know anything else that's on the internet. They only know the data that's stored on the blockchain. So that's a problem when you're talking about integrating different blockchains together. So if Bank of America had a blockchain and Chase Bank had a blockchain, they don't know about each other. They don't know about the data on each other. So CCIP is a protocol that is built to allow blockchains to talk to each other. That's essentially the elevator pitch. It was built by Chainlink, a really smart group of people. They've been in this space for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And the protocol that they've built is akin to like TCIP on the internet. Now all of a sudden I'm pivoting into nerd speak, but the only reason your computer can talk to another computer, the only reason your TikTok phone right now, your phone that's looking at TikTok is connected to other phones, is because of a protocol called TCIP that allows devices on the internet to talk to each other. Chainlink is saying we're doing that for blockchains with CCIP. We're allowing blockchains to talk to each other. And that's going to be huge, especially if we think that banks will make their own private blockchains or companies will make their own private blockchains in the future that will need to eventually integrate with each other.
Nishiste, is that where you think the next big growth factor is for Chainlink? Is it going to be the wave of adoption of private blockchains being built by businesses? Because one of the questions that people and myself have kind of asked about Chainlink is yes, while it is a key centerpiece of infrastructure, maybe even the key piece of infrastructure for all of crypto, where is the adoption growth going to come from next? Because, as an investor, you want to invest in something whose adoption is going to grow also. Although we do know that in crypto, you can have prices of assets go up with zero growth or zero adoption, right? But that's the thing with Chainlink, because Chainlink has such a monopoly, with the exception of some competition from Pyth in the Oracle space. Where's that next big growth sector of adoption going to go? Because Chainlink's already kind of dominated everything that it can dominate.
There's a very big slice of the pie that has not yet been broken into that I think Chainlink is especially positioned to take over. And that is these banks, right? What I just said about how private blockchains built by banks would not be able to speak to each other, but somehow private blockchains are better than what they have now. Well, banks can talk to each other now. So people would say, well, Mashish, what the hell are you talking about? How is that better? They're going to be in a black box now? That's not better. That's worse. They can't talk to the world. Banks today can talk to the world. Well, how do banks talk to the world today? They use a protocol called SWIFT. And in some cases, some regions of the world, they're mandated to use SWIFT. So they would never use anything else other than SWIFT. And Chainlink is the only interoperability layer in Web3 world that is SWIFT compatible. And so that means that banks will be able to transition to this on-chain technology while maintaining their SWIFT compatibility. And so other banks will continue to be able to interact with them and be interoperable with them without necessarily caring whether they're using a private blockchain or some mainframe built in the 60s by Alex's dad.
Cool. Yeah. I was thinking you might go there. So basically, rest in peace, Ripple Labs and XRP, since Swift is upgrading.
Yeah, rip. Sorry.
Yeah, rip. Sorry, XRP. Sorry, Ripple. Okay, cool. Thanks. I appreciate the explanation.
You know, I love whenever Swift comes up because it's always my go-to example for another reason why XRP doesn't make sense.
Yep.
And another one.
Just like this isn't something I've looked into in several years since I made the point, and I just haven't cared to update it. But it was just like, you know, what's the valuation of Swift as a company? You know, like theoretically, because I don't believe it's publicly traded, so there's no like official market cap or anything. But the estimates were like about 50, like was it 50 billion or something like that? You know, grand total, even though they handle, you know, a pretty significant sum of money through their infrastructure every year. And I was just like, so if XRP's entire value prop is to replace that, why would they ever be worth any more? And I was just,
I think Swift is like some kind of international, or maybe there's like an international body that uses Swift. I don't know, but
well, the thing is Swift is regulatorily mandated by the international. Oh God, I'm trying to give you the name of it.
Yeah, there you go.
I can't right now. I actually work with Swift, like today. I work with, like, I help Pepsi. I help Estee Lauder, one of the largest makeup company in the world, and a few other companies make their bank integrations internationally across all of their international banks to Swift. It's what my team does for them, quite literally. Yeah, it's mandated. They have to use Swift, which was another reason why I was like, Ripple Labs is never going to get used for any of this.
It's the IMF and the World Bank. Thanks for the assist.
So much. And I saw another question in the comment section about Swift, like what would be the
currency,
exchange currency that would facilitate like on-chain stuff. In my opinion, it has to be a US dollar-backed stablecoin.
See, my answer was all of them. If you have something like CCIP, if you have visibility, transparency, composability, then there's no reason why my Bitcoin payment couldn't settle to your USD. And why, I mean, I agree with you. I think a lot of transactions will happen in a US currency-backed stablecoin because people will want to use that. They'll want to settle to that, and they'll have the rails for it. But Chase is going to want to use their token, and the Bitcoiners are going to want to use their token, and Swift is going to want all of them to use its network. Just give me more liquidity, kind of thing, is what I imagine. I'm willing to be proven wrong, but don't you think it would make sense that they just take anything?
No, not to me.
You don't think so?
No, I understand the argument though. Like the argument makes sense of like, wouldn't they want as much liquidity possible? So wouldn't they accept as many currencies as possible? And yes, but never doubt the influence of the United States government on international monetary policy to use something backed by the dollar.
That's fair.
Because it's not a democracy; it is a dictatorship. And the dictator is the U.S. financial system. Upon international monetary policy. At least right now, right? Maybe that world order could change. But as of right now, it's that. So the other thing, too, is if you introduce various cryptocurrencies and stuff, and granted, there are fiat currencies that are get inflated to oblivion, too, like the Turkish lira and Argentina's Argentinian peso. Although recently, hey, congrats to Argentina. They had their first week of zero inflation. Nice job, guys.
Go Argentina!
Go Argentina! Javier Milei is an interesting guy, but he's apparently good with economics. But what was I saying?
You're talking about why the USD will remain dominant.
Yeah. Well, the thing is like you just need something that's tied to the dollar if you're going to settle, the US dollar into another fiat currency, because you need something that provides the speed and cheapness to make Swift more competitive to something like a Ripple Labs, for example. But that also doesn't offer volatility so that when one company, say a large bank, is making a payment to another international company, that payment is the amount that they sent, because if they underpay, they could get hit with a huge fine, right? So the risk of fluctuation, even in the span of just like fractions of a second, could spell like a large penalty to someone who's making, by someone I mean a company, making a large payment. So I would say it's not impossible for Swift to want to incorporate as many currencies as possible, because more liquidity, more fees, more revenue, yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, mandate by the U.S. financial system is a dictatorship on international monetary policy.
Yeah, and let me clarify. I think I agree with you. I think everything will settle to the dollar. I think they will take in whatever you want to give them, and then we'll have the rails to exchange it pretty seamlessly and cheaply, the way they do now, but with blockchain.
Yeah, that would make, that would make sense from like a monetary standpoint, from like a cash flow standpoint. So like I could see it happening. I'm just doubtful.
I don't want to get too far into bricks. We had some comments about bricks in the comments. I just wanted to say to Rick, I have a video about that. I don't think the hype of bricks is worth the squeeze, at least not yet personally. Can I invite you guys to share, maybe we've gone a long way in this conversation and we're talking a lot of inside baseball and it's super good. But I wanted to maybe invite you to kind of wrap these threads up and officially say welcome, Will, because we had a question in the comments about from our friend Connie here, who was saying, I really do need to understand just what Web3 is and why it matters, and how with crypto a person begins doing their own research, whether it comes to learning about a particular project or token I'm interested in investing in, or just understanding the tech more deeply. So give me kind of a final thought if you think there's something good to say to wrap this thread up. And then I'd love to hear your suggestions and recommendations for that before I give some of the resources that we generally share on the show. And Mashiste, I'd kind of like to kick to you if it's okay, because you came here as the first guest, and I know you have other stuff to do. I know you do too, Will, so I was going to kick it to you next. What do you think, wrapping up this kind of thread of conversation about usability, composability, bringing Web3 into the present moment?
Sure. Yeah, I can answer that.
Else?
Yeah, and before I do, Ace had a question about flash loans and CCIP,
please.
Which I didn't get to. But
yeah, please.
Yeah. All right.
And also, then before you leave the stage, you absolutely have to pitch us one more time on the world's greatest hot dog eating contest on chain.
Okay. All right. CCIP question, the Web3 question, and then pitches. So
that's all, man.
All right. So really quick, then the CCIP question is: does CCIP enable flash loans across blockchains? No, it doesn't. We could probably go into a whole segment on what flash loans are and how they work, but CCIP does not do that. So I guess that's the short answer. Number two was the Web3 question, like what is it, why is it important, and a resource. So very simply put, it's a public backend. That's really the unlock here. Everything you've used until today has been a server owned by a private company behind a black box that you have no idea what's going on. Your Facebook friends are not your actual Facebook friends. Zuckerberg could flip some bits in a database and you'd lose all of your followers, you'd lose all of your friends, you'd lose all of your videos, you'd lose all of your photos. Not saying they would do that, but they could do that. In Web3, it's not possible.
And real quick, let me add this too, to say if a financial crisis happened like in 2008 and we needed to find out how much debt was on each bank's balance sheet, and we had to rely on all of them to give us the best information possible and verify it, it would be a cluster. And in fact, it was. Please continue.
Yeah. So it's a public backend. That's the unlock. Like a bunch of businesses were built on top of Twitter's API. Elon Musk becomes CEO and says this is going to become the most expensive API you've ever used. Those businesses are no longer operating. You can't do that if you want to build on top of Farcaster. Like Dan Romero can't do that because it's a public blockchain. So that's the big unlock. If I had to give you a resource, I would say Google. There's like this great blog post. If you just Google $1 Million Monkeys by Joaquin, he wrote a great name. Yeah, he wrote a great article about that. So you can, I forgot the name of it, but Evan, if you're in front of a computer and you saw it come up and you could plug it, that'd be great, but not necessary. I'm sure you could find it if you just type in $1 Million Monkeys or something. Okay, and then the third thing was a plug. So Logatog.xyz, the on-chain hot dog eating competition taking place all summer long. go check it out. But one thing I'm also really excited about that I've been building and getting some traction with, Base Token Store. So you can go to basetokensstore.com. You could buy any, well, not any yet, but you could buy a Base token pretty seamlessly with a smart wallet. And I'm launching a new feature, hopefully by today, that I think Alex might be excited about, because when you check out in Web 2 today, which is what this whole, thank you, Evan, which is what this whole app is about, you have your cart and you have your checkout flow. And in Web 2, sometimes they say, hey, do you want to donate $1 to St. Jude's Children's Hospital or something? And I'm bringing that to Base Token Store hopefully later today. And Lovable Paws Rescue is definitely one of those rescues and charities that are going to be on that list that you can donate to directly. So that's my plug for the day.
Hell yeah. Thank you, dude. We appreciate having you so much. Obviously, you're welcome to stick around. We'd love you to contribute to anything you have time to. But if you got to go, don't feel bad about it. The check is in the mail. Do you take condiments? Hopefully, yes.
I can hang out here for a little bit.
Okay, cool. Will, let me kick it to you, man, because I know you got a real job too. And I'd love to hear what you have to say about...
I have a real job.
He's a real boy.
I'm a real boy.
I'm on a mission to find Will's boss's phone number so that I can work on getting him fired. Just calling under various different fake personas and complaining about Will and lodging complaints.
All you would get is this older Bostonian business bulldog who would just then start calling you to ring you out. I love that. Any kind of confrontation, it gets him up in the morning, dude. Fucking love that guy.
Hell yeah.
And he's such a Bostonian. I love him so much. So with Web3, succinctly put, I'm going to give you what it means for two people, what it means for an individual, and what it means for businesses, or cash flow, I guess I would say. For an individual, it's a way for you to gain ownership over your digital assets. And digital assets include your money, right? Because money has been ones and zeros for 20, 30 years now, since credit cards really came out. As well as like other things that are digital assets, right? Including the data that you generate, items in video games, yada, yada, all that kind of stuff, right? But it's a means for you to gain ownership over your digital assets. And from a business and a cash flow standpoint, and also like a creator, if you will, whether it's music or content or, you have your own business, like small business, it's a way for you to remove the barrier that exists between you as a business and the consumer that is traditionally facilitated by middlemen. It's a way for you to remove those middlemen and have a direct B2C or creator to consumer relationship with your audience, removing expenses for both you and the consumer and introducing new ways of creating cash flow. And that to me is what Web3 is for both of those instances. And I can obviously dive into that, but in short, that's what it is to me.
Excellent. And do you have any recommendations for people who want to learn?
I don't know if I can't think of a book that would be a good Web3 overall book. I would just say you have to just hop on, find some good YouTube creators, find some good TikTok creators, find some good sources on TikTok of people who are building, like Machiste or Jesse Pollack or the Solana team or yada, 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 right? Start listening to what people are building because they'll tell you what they're building and why it's valuable. And that's on Twitter and stuff.
Will just loop me in with.
I don't know if I have a single good source to direct people towards that, unfortunately.
Read, write, own would be a good one to read.
You set me up, man. I was gonna go there, but I have the visual aid ready.
Oh, there you go.
This is written by Chris Dixon, who is the lead Web3 investor at Andreessen Horowitz. He's a longtime internet guy, and I would consider him my teacher. I hope to meet him and shake his hand one day because more than almost anybody else, he has helped me understand in a personal way what this is and why it matters. And this book is written so somebody with no previous technical experience can understand it. It's called Read, Write, Own. I'm pretty sure I have a link to buy it that gives me 2 pennies when you buy it through my link if you want to support me at the link in my bio, but you can find it anywhere. It's available on all platforms. It's available as an audiobook. And even better, if you want to try before you buy, if you just go to your favorite podcast app and Google Chris Dixon spelled like that, you will find him talking with a variety of people, essentially about everything in this book. He goes over the history of the internet, protocols. He talks about some very technical stuff very simply and helps you get it.
If you want to get serendipitous about it, there's a reason why there's 3 words in that title of the book. People go, well, what is Web3? Here's your light bulb moment. Read is Web 1, write is Web 2, and own is Web 3.
Yeah. It's all the same internet, but this promise of being able to truly own things, which you cannot do in Web 1 or 2, the ways we've experienced them, is brought to fruition with blockchains. So well done. Good assist. Okay. And also thanks for just taking a crap on the Rise Up Morning Show community, man. That's a great resource, Will. I'm just picking on you. I love you guys. Both of you.
What?
My favorite thing is hearing people answer this question because everybody has a great answer that's totally different but super helpful. I got to give it to Alex because if I had to put anybody in a boxing ring with Chris Dixon for who has helped me understand this the most, Alex might be the champion. So tell me, brother, what would you say to somebody who's trying to answer this question for themselves? How do I start doing my own research, learning about Web3, and what the heck is it?
It is a good question. Try to answer it differently than
usual.
And
do you like that I kind of saved you? I kind of let these guys go first, so now you got to come up with something new.
I got to follow it. I do always use the read, write, own, not necessarily to quote the book, but just to say, in the beginning of the internet, you could read stuff that other people wrote for you. In the middle time, the time that we are predominantly living in right now, you could also write stuff, but then you relinquished the rights to own it and profit off of it to whatever company hosted it. So if you write on Facebook, you give the rights to that content to Mark Zuckerberg. If you write on Google, hosted stuff, if you sell stuff on Amazon, do whatever, you can contribute, but it's not really yours. It belongs to a billionaire. And Web3 is just trying to give you the right to own your stuff again. Because we've gotten very comfy not owning anything digital, even though a lot of our lives are digital now. Video games are the easiest example. We've transitioned almost completely away from physical game discs, and now you just download a file that's hosted somewhere else, and you just hope that whoever sold it to you keeps paying their bills. And that's basically your best hope for all of that. And then, like me, I play a lot of Destiny. I pay money every several months to get the next season pass. And I don't ever get anything in return to show for it, which kind of sucks. So the whole point of Web3 is really just to introduce tools to your life that lets you own digital stuff and prove that you own it instead of just having to have what could be a copy, saved or screenshotted on your computer kind of thing.
And I feel, Alex, I feel like so many people go well, why does that matter? And why is that important? Yeah. And who the F cares? And I think Gary Vaynerchuk said it really well. When you would have people over to your house and show something off that you were proud of, I'm sure you got some cool art back there. I think Evan, you got probably collections of something back there on those shelves. I don't know. Someone comes over and just think of something, and I'm sure everybody on the stream could relate to it. Somebody comes over, you're really proud of something, you want to show it to them. You can only really show it to them when they come over, or you take a picture of it and send it to them, whatever. But more and more of our lives are becoming digitized and online. And the way you show that stuff off are your digital assets. So Alex with his Destiny 2, or, an NFT art collection, or, anything really. Now you can prove ownership that way. And it's just a different mind shift in terms of where we're actually experiencing life, which is either sad or improving, I guess, whichever way you want to think about it. But then Evan Alex, you could rent out your assets now. If I wanted to play Destiny or something and you own that, you lend it to me and you can make money off that.
Yeah,
and benefit in other ways.
And I would say to piggyback on what Mike is saying, right now in Web3, I would say that use cases are limited by what's available and what's been done so far. And it's easy to look at it at a surface level and see a couple things that don't necessarily matter to you and write off the whole thing. But I would encourage you to just think a little bit more broadly. So if you own anything digital, like Mike is saying, anything digital that's important to you, it does not have to be a cartoon picture of a monkey wearing board shorts that you're really attached to. That may not matter to you, and it doesn't have to matter to you at all. But I guarantee you that there is something digital in your life that matters. And I would posit that you do not truly own that thing, whatever it is. You're relying at some point on something else to facilitate your use of it. So whether that's music that you wrote, that you recorded, whether it's your own artwork that you've done, that you've uploaded. A good example would be Adobe lately. They re-released their terms of service and forced everyone who is using it to agree to it. And it basically just like confirms exactly what I just said, that like anything you do in Adobe is the property of Adobe. So if you create art using any Adobe program, guess what? Adobe owns it and they can sell it and they have the rights to like use it commercially and all that kind of stuff. And it's very predatory.
Such a modern theft. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
Yeah. So like, that's why it matters. So the examples that we use may not be something that matters to you specifically, but I would just encourage you to take a step back and look at digital stuff as a whole, and just whatever part of that matters to you is the part that you can use as your own, personal North Star for why this shit might be important.
Alex, I can give an example. I can give an example that everyone on this live will resonate with.
Sweet.
So you mentioned like something digital in your life that you care about that isn't truly yours, that you said you could argue for. Here's one. If you're fortunate enough to have $10,000 in your bank account, try walking into your bank today and taking it out.
Yep.
You can't. At least not after a very lengthy and arduous process.
Yep.
That's not yours.
Yeah, your money is the best example.
Yeah. If you have 10,000 USDC right now, try sending it to me. No problem.
Yeah, let's do a quick experiment where you all try to send it just to prove how easy it is. I mean,
I'll send it back, I promise. Yeah.
He's absolutely right. Like money is probably the easiest example. Our money is, that's why I get so uppity when people use the CBDC argument to fearmonger. Like,
yep,
you're using one right now. If the government wanted to pause it, freeze it, reverse it, take it away, force you to spend it by a certain time, put an expiration date on, all of the things that creators use to fearmonger about the politician that's going to release a CBDC. Like, spoiler alert, we've had one for 50 years.
Right.
Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
for the people who say like, "Oh, that'll never happen," ask a Canadian trucker if that will never happen. It's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Excellent example.
There are more constitutional securities for us on that front, but I understand everything you said. Yes.
Yeah.
Alex, what's your resource for people who want to start really understanding this stuff the way you do? What about our friends at Coinbase?
I always say, not sponsored, but it should be. Coinbase.com/learn is a free resource. And if you're familiar at all with like the way that Duolingo displays stuff to you, it's like a super intuitive and very easy interface to read through. And you do not need an account. The accounts are free to make, but you don't even need a free account. You don't have to log into anything. You can literally just go to coinbase.com/learn and read the whole thing for free. So that's my number one, because there's a gajillion little blurbs and little articles and little things you can read there to kind of get you started. And if nothing else, they will turn you on to the phrases that you should put on your notepad and then start to read more about. Wallets, exchanges, crypto, blockchain, transactions, like all of these different things. That is where I would start. And then I would let yourself kind of find the piece that makes sense or that you are like interested in, and then chase that in whatever direction. And then just be be skeptical of everything you read, because especially when like a human being is creating the content, like, you know, we say all the time, but it's worth repeating that like anything we say should be fact checked, because we say shit that's either wrong or outdated sometimes. And you just need to, you got to fact check people. So just be careful with intaking content like from specific humans about stuff, and always fact check the things you read. I like to use a combination of all sorts of stuff and try to compare to like make sure I'm seeing some sort of consistency. But yeah, I would start with Coinbase's Learn platform, just because they put a lot of money into making that pretty good, and someday they'll fucking sponsor me.
Hey, Alex.
Dude, that's the video we need to make for Build on Base. Sorry, Michelle.
Oh, I was going to ask, does Coinbase Learn have quests on it? Because I've seen that in Coinbase Wallet.
Yeah, so Coinbase has a learn and earn program that they've had for years, and they started it with a bang, and then they absolutely neglected it, and I complained about it for like 2 straight years. But it's finally back. I really wish that they had done more during the bear market, because it was such a good resource that it was a very big missed opportunity. But I'm hoping that they're back on it now, because I'm seeing more quests pop up. And interestingly, they're starting to add layers to the quests. So you can like start it on the platform and do the whole thing contained right there with like a quick Duolingo-like lesson that takes you literally 5 minutes and answers a few quiz questions, and you get like $5 to $10 for doing it, which is awesome.
Cool.
In whatever crypto you're learning about. The last one I did was for Ronin. And actually, I did one for Fetch when they released that, which was during the bear market, like 2 years ago. And that Fetch is up like 9,000%. So like that $5 that I got when I did that is literally worth like $150 or something. So that's pretty sweet. But now they're starting to take you off platform and like walk you through making a wallet, sending a transaction, like doing a thing. So like you can progress it and take it, and they'll pay you even more, which is kind of neat. So I would definitely take a look at that. But yeah, that's the Learn and Earn program. I think if you go to coinbase.com/earn, I think they're listed under there. But either way, it's not hard to find in the main menu under quests or earn or something like that.
There was one recently for a token called Props. I don't know if you all saw that.
Yeah.
It was like $96 or something at one point for this quest. But I think you had to like essentially turn your house into an RWA, into like a real world asset, which I don't think I was like,
Are you talking about Propy?
Propy, yeah.
Oh, was that it? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and Propy, I don't know if that's legit, that particular product, but they were the first Bitcoin-backed mortgage. They are a legit company, been doing cool things for sure.
Hey guys, I gotta hop off to real job stuff.
Thank you for everything you do to make the show great, Will. We love you, man, and we are coming for your job, dude.
Please don't. You stay nice chatting with you.
I also have to hop. All right. Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you, man.
Of course, anytime.
Thank you for everything. And go check out the Base Token Store, basetokensstore.com, and logadog.xyz. Find him as Mike.eth or just MYK Mike on Warpcast. We'll see you again soon, man.
Later.
Alex, can you round out your answer by, everyone here loves a good analogy. And I'm going to need the mechanic analogy, because sometimes this stuff makes me feel like I need to be a total expert to get it.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions in Web3. And it's usually not your fault. It's usually the fault of the people giving you the information. So I always just tell people that you should not be intimidated. It's worth learning because in the exact same way that you don't need to be an auto mechanic to drive your car to the grocery store, you don't need to be a software developer to use Web3. And I'm pretty sure that anyone, including those who are not auto mechanics, could at least tell you something that makes a car better or worse, some feature. So just remember that if you're ever feeling intimidated, if you're reading something and it's like, this is way too hyper technical, I couldn't possibly find my spot here, you are just reading the wrong thing. And there is probably a better resource for you. And that's why we exist, because we read a lot of this shit and we can tell you what the better ones are.
Yeah. Excellent, man. Man, that's why I do it. I do it for the analogies, and like I said, Alex, you are right up there with a bullet. People who I consider my teachers who help me understand this stuff. Let me give a quick answer to this question myself, if I may, and then I'm going to drop a ton of resources on you if you want to learn this stuff. I have a hard stop at the bottom of the hour in about 20 minutes. So if you got some questions, hit us. You still got time. And we're here every day, Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Really, the number one answer to, like, how can I do my own research? How can I learn this stuff? Because that was part of your question too, Connie, is the number one thing I can tell you is get in a community, get in a room of other people who are interested about this stuff too, because it's one thing to spend 24 hours a day learning about this stuff yourself, but nobody has that kind of time. And the second you get in a room of 100 other people at all levels of experience who know more or less than you, who are talking about it, now, if everyone's only spending 1 hour a day on it, we've got 100 hours. And we're all interested in different stuff, and we all think differently, and we can all share what we know, learn, and grow together. If you need a community to join, the show is a great place to start. We've also got a newsletter. We've got a YouTube channel. We've got a Discord community where you can come and ask us questions without character limits, where you can post a link and say, hey, I'm researching this. This is what I think. What do you guys like about it? It's an awesome place. No one's going to try and sell you anything except maybe a premium membership or a Rise Up Morning Show mug, the best mug in the official mug of the official morning show, The Financial Revolution. You can find it all at theriseupmorningshow.com, but let me answer your question. Why Web3? Why does it matter? Like everyone has already said, and as I will attempt to summarize, this is the tech that helps us own the promise of the internet, own our stuff in a new medium. Blockchain, the internet, it is a medium that is like language. The same way that words are a way to give a tangible form to intangible things, tokens can help us capture stuff in a form that is impossible in any other medium. You can tell a story on film or with paint or with words differently in unique and novel ways. Tokens, they're a medium because they also give you novel ways to do these kinds of intangible things, expressions of identity, expressions of ownership. And what's particularly novel about Web3, about tokens, about blockchains, smart contracts, all this stuff we throw around, decentralization, is that unlike the internet now, where companies who own the hardware, the servers, and own the programs, the software, they lease it to you with terms and conditions. Now, there is software that anybody can own that controls the hardware it's programmed on. For the first time, we have pieces of computer code that can make commitments. You are not relying on Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg, the president of the United States, or the elected official who runs the Treasury to do what they say they are going to do. You don't have to negotiate with them according to their power and their terms and conditions. You have a piece of code like the program that runs Bitcoin that anyone anywhere can install on their computer, on their phone, on their device, which is able to tell your device how to function. If you try to hack the Bitcoin smart contract, you can't do it because it's a piece of software, not a person. It works the way a calculator does math. Every time I do 2 + 2 on my calculator, it gives me the same answer because it is a program. It's not going to get tired. It's not going to get hungry. I can't bribe it or fool it. So it won't make a sloppy mistake. And because it is not a human that we're relying on to do what they say they're going to do, it is able to make a commitment to us. And at the same time, because all of us users are owners, we could change it at any time. We can propose a change that the rest of the network has a chance to vote on and agree to, and then the code, though it can make a commitment, can be changed. It is an unprecedented era where power will now flow to the edges, which I think we can all agree is a good thing if everyday people have more agency in their lives. And I would say, if you want to learn about it, check out Read, Write, Own, listen to Chris Dixon, join the show. But a couple other things you can do beyond all the resources everybody recommended are jump into the Rise Up Morning Show community for sure. Check out the video on our YouTube, Doing Your Own Research. If you're looking at how to analyze a particular crypto project, there are many different ways you can go about it. but we have some suggestions for the bare minimum, easiest way to get started that you can do in 5 minutes using a couple of totally free tools. Thank you for the assist, Tech CEO, DYOR. If you just Google doing your own research, DYOR, Faceless Labs is our YouTube page. That's our company. And we're going to put it in the community. We're going to put it in the newsletter. It's easy to find at the link in my bio, the link in Alex's bio, the riseupmorningshow.com. Don't fret if you didn't catch it. The book is Read, Write, Own. The community is the Rise Up Morning Show community. The video is doing your own research at our YouTube channel. And all of it is available for you to find at theriseupmorningshow.com. It's totally free. And I do want to pitch you on this too. We have a free Discord community where you can come in and check things out, ask your questions, but we also have premium memberships. It's the way we are going to work Will out of his day job, okay? If you want Will to leave his job and come do this with us full time, the most meaningful way you can support us is by purchasing a premium membership to our community. They're $9.99 or $19.99 a month, which it comes with a lot of stuff. You don't have to buy that to engage with us and hang out with us there. But if you do buy that, you get early access and discounted access to everything we do. Live classes, coachings. And to give you perspective, we're working on the infrastructure for this right now. We're about to launch these classes, live classes with us, where you get personal attention on a topic like doing your own research. You can go watch the YouTube video for free, or for $49, you can sign up and take the class. For $15, you can buy the recording. If you are a premium member, if you pay $9.99 a month, that $49 class is now $29. You have saved $20 by spending $10. We have tried to make this membership such that anybody who wants to really, really learn can get access to teachers, personal attention, and then we made it in such a way that hopefully you can graduate from it. That eventually the people who are premium members for a couple of months will stop paying the premium membership, and then they'll just hang out with us. And for free, enjoy the knowledge, share what they know, also that we can learn and grow together. As we say, rise up. That's the best, most meaningful way you can support our community, and it's the way we've designed for you to learn this stuff as quickly, thoroughly, efficiently, safely as possible. If you're interested in that, you can find the links to do it at theriseupmorningshow.com. Sign up for a membership at our Patreon. But you don't have to spend $1 to learn here. We're glad to have you. Happy to be here. Easy to work with. And that's my speech, man. I've spoken for too long. We got to do another topic. We got to answer another question. Alex, save me from myself. What do you got? Did I pitch everything I needed to?
I think so.
Okay, good.
This is what a blink looks like. So
yeah, okay. And TLDR for people who didn't catch it, blinks are blockchain links on Solana. It's the hot news item of the day. They are like frames. Web3 on your website. Go ahead, Alex.
I'm on Twitter right here. So this is just standard vanilla Twitter. I'm looking at Helios. So Helios is one of the dev platforms on Solana, and you can stake with them. They're prolific. The CEO, Mert, is a menace to society and one of my favorite people on the internet right now. And this guy, if you want someone else worthwhile following. And then if you scroll down a little bit here, you can see a blink. So I can literally click this button or this button or this button. I will get my phantom will just pop up with an approval. And via this, I will have purchased and staked Solana on Helios's like staking protocol, which is pretty nuts. So
wild.
Click
it's
the number.
Utility. It's here, people. It's finally here. That's the utility.
Yeah. That's the smoothest it's been on a very, very native to most people platform, just on Twitter. Now, to do this, you need an extension. This one right here is called Dialect. I put it in the Discord general chat. And then you just pick the wallet that you use. So I use Phantom. You can also use Backpack. Backpack is pretty cool.
And it'll roll out to others soon. I
Yeah.
expect to see this in Smart Wallet, for example.
For sure. So anyway, as soon as you get this and enable it, all of these that will pop up, you'll see them in this sense. I wish I had showed you before I enabled Dialect, but before I did that, this right here was just a link to another page. Actually, let me see if it goes. Yeah, okay. So if you just click it, it goes to the actual like little host on Helios through Dialect. And then you can see the interface here. So if you don't have the extension, you have one other click. But no, overall, pretty cool. So I'm going to be messing around with a lot more of these.
Fantastic.
And seeing, but there's been all kinds of stuff, people running like a personal fundraiser that accepts donations. I've seen, so I'm looking forward to trying to set up a Blink for the rescue and running that on Twitter, and then we'll pin and host that. And then you can send. I'll have to do a little bit of tinkering and make a wallet for the rescue, and we'll publish that address and all that kind of good stuff. So bear with me as I do that, because I'm going to try to figure the whole thing out.
Hell yeah.
And then I had one more thing, and I lost my train of thought. But anyway,
We'll come back to you.
That's a Blink.
We had some recap sort of questions. I think maybe there were some folks who might not have been here for the discussion we had about banking and interoperability and how crypto is going to help that. So can we TLDR along these lines to answer the questions? Do we believe our banks will sell and store crypto one day to keep us from storing in USDC and USDT? And what do we think about, where to go, Crypto Ghost, just generally DeFi disrupting banking in the next decade? I would say to anybody, wait till this episode comes out, because both Mashiste and Will had some really smart comments. Not that Alex and I don't, but the conversation we had about 20 minutes ago was pretty fantastic along these lines. And it will be up on YouTube at the end of the week. This episode will be like episode 120. I'll have it in the title. Alex, I don't know if you have thoughts. How will DeFi disrupt banking? And do you think it's a concern that banks, the powers that be, will try to use crypto to keep us from getting the benefits of crypto, a CBDC?
Will DeFi, okay, so it's a multi-part question.
Yes. Will DeFi disrupt banking? And then tell me what you said a second ago about CBDCs and how we already have them, because I think that kind of answers this question.
So will DeFi disrupt banking? It already is, and it will continue to do so. Disruption can start small. The value prop of DeFi is like, wouldn't it be cool if when you tried to do money stuff, it only involved like the people involved, and it didn't require a bunch of babysitters to come in and just arbitrarily charge you fees for no reason? So in DeFi, the fee is gas. Of course, we're kind of walking towards a better DeFi, because right now, you sort of just trade Web 2 middlemen for Web 3 middlemen. But yes, it will disrupt banking. I think it will continue to get better, and it will continue to disrupt banks more. I'm sure that concerns banks. I think that many of them get the impression, at least, that this is not something they're going to be able to stop, so they need to figure out how to exist with it, which probably means just offering more services and trying to charge you standard banking fees to do crypto stuff with them by promoting their security offerings.
Or their token.
That sort of stuff, yeah, or their own token, if we get there, whatever. I would not, however, worry quite so much about something changing with the idea of a CBDC. I don't know why this isn't more common. This should probably just be another separate video. I've done this video before, but it's probably time to do it again. We already have a CBDC. We've had it for decades. Nothing new is being proposed by any of the politicians who talk about CBDCs or the ones who talk about trying to stop them. Anyone who talks about trying to start one doesn't know what they're talking about, and anyone who says that I am the politician who's going to stop it is a charlatan because we've had one for decades and they've never done anything about it. The fear points that people use to talk about CBDCs are things like the government will be able to track your money. Spoiler alert. The government will be able to freeze your money. Spoiler alert. The government will be able to force your money to expire. Spoiler alert. The government will be able to force you to give them money by just taking it away from you. Spoiler alert. I could go on. And anything you can do with a theoretical CBDC, you can do with the current US dollar, which has been digital for more than 50 years. It's becoming more and more commonplace for businesses not even to accept cash at all. I mean, I feel like pretty much every time I go to anything small now, like a food truck or a farmer's market, it is honestly rare that the majority of the people there accept cash. Pretty much everyone has a swiper and then take card, or now it's, a lot of Cash App, a lot of Venmo, that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't worry too much about the CBDC conversation. We've been there for decades, and if it's not a problem yet, it's unlikely that it will suddenly become a problem now that someone is using it to fearmonger. I mean,
Yeah.
I should say, the government has been taking your money and freezing it and all this kind of stuff for a long time. That's not.
And on the innovation too front, something we talked about a minute ago is like right now, the IMF and the World Bank, they mandate that banks, anybody who wants to send big money uses SWIFT. And one of the innovations that's happening right now, because SWIFT is sort of a silo system, that banks have their individual servers and ledgers and things that they connect to SWIFT, and SWIFT is not on chain. One of the innovations that's already happening that is good for us, I would say, is the integration of services like CCIP by Chainlink, allowing on-chain and off-chain data to come together with transparency. It is going to be easier than ever for banks to sort of upgrade their system in a compliant way using blockchain technology that will make what they do transparent, not just to other banks, but to people like us. And they will probably use some private technology to kind of try and obscure it. But I absolutely think policy is going to continue to trend in the direction of making data more available, easier to access, because it'll help solve problems like the 2008 financial crisis, when banks couldn't compare their notes to determine how much debt they actually had on their sheets, to see how much money we actually needed to front to save them, kind of thing. So interoperability protocols, on-chain stuff, whether it's facilitating a CBDC or just the ease of transferring money in any currency, settling it to a common layer, is going to be enabling banks to do what banks do, but I think moving us in the direction of a more decentralized, distributed, individual ownership-oriented future. So, and I also want to say one more time, I'm going to post this in the general chat because people want to know about CBDCs. That we were talking about BRICS a little bit earlier. I have a lot of thoughts on it, but I don't think I can fit them in the conversation here with context without getting way off track. I will post a video. Did you think of what you were going to say a minute ago, brother?
No, it's gone forever.
Okay, then let's do this, because it's about time for me to take my dog and pony on the road. If you have a final thought, question, suggestion, good joke, word of wisdom, we'd love to hear it in the comments. If you haven't yet, visit the riseupmorningshow.com and jump into the Discord community. If you have trouble with the link, sometimes it happens, send one of us a direct message, and beware, there are impersonators, but this is my only account. That is his only account. Give us a tap, give us a follow, and while you got your thumbs at the ready, give us a little, likey-loo, because it helps the algorithm, lets them know that we're helpful. You can share this with your friend, with your cousin Carl, who's always telling you to buy Harry Potter, Sonic, Obama Inu, or whatever else. And join us at the riseupmorningshow.com in the community. Alex, do you have a final thought, question, suggestion, good joke, word of wisdom as we go on about our day?
I think I'm well met. It's a good one. I feel like we covered both ends of the complexity spectrum today, so that's always good. If you feel like you missed anything or you still have questions, we will be around in Discord for the rest of the day and the week and the month and the year. So hop in and ask away, and we can share links to all the stuff we talked about. I'm going to go in and put a couple more links into the general chat right now, just with like Coinbase Learn and that sort of stuff. And then one of these days, those guys will sponsor us.
Yeah, Warby Parker too, probably, because turns out they're not the same frames, but man, you wouldn't know it looking at these guys, right? If you want to get glasses like us, Warby Parker is, I guess, the place you got to go. Excellent, Alex. Very well said. The last thought I would give you is that it is good to remember you are telling a story. You are investing with everything you say, everything you don't say, everything you buy, sell, choose to amplify or ignore. So with your money, with your attention, with your time, let's all do what we can to tell a better story. Thank you for being the best part of our story, for helping us spread the good word. We will see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, my friends, stay well and rise up.